Hey everyone, it's your name back with another video. Today, we're diving deep into my knitting needle collection. I'm going to rank my most used needles, from the absolute best. The workhorses of my stash, too, well, let's just say, the ones that don't get as much love. Get ready for some knitting needle confessions. And maybe a few laughs along the way. First up, let's talk about the needles I reach for constantly. My absolute favorites. At the top of my list are my wooden circular needles. Specifically the ones from brand name, if applicable. They're my go-to for pretty much everything. Seriously, these are the MVPs. The yarn glides so smoothly on the wood it's like butter. And the points are just right, not too sharp, not too dull. They strike that perfect balance, making knitting a pure joy. I absolutely adore them. I use them for sweaters, shawls, socks. You name it, they've probably seen it. They're versatile, reliable, and just a joy to work with. They're also super warm in my hands during those colder knitting sessions. Seriously, if you're looking for a good all-around needle, these are a winner, hands down. Next, we have my metal circular needles. These are a close second and get a lot of use. Too. I love these for projects where I want a bit more speed and a super clean look. They're super smooth, and the yarn just flies off the needles. Great for lace projects where you need precision, too. The sharp points are excellent for intricate stitches. Just be careful with slippery yarns. They can sometimes slide off a little too easily if you're not paying attention. But, overall, a fantastic option, and a must-have in any knitter's stash. I reach for these when I'm feeling a bit ambitious, and want to power through a project. Now, let's move on to the needles that are alright. These are my bamboo circular needles. They're not bad, per se, but they're not my absolute go-tos. They get some use, though. The yarn sometimes catches a bit on the bamboo, which can be a tad frustrating. Especially with delicate yarns or when you're in a hurry. They're good for beginners because they give a little more grip, which can be helpful, but for me, they're not my first choice. They do have their place, though. I might use them for a project where I want a bit more texture. Like a chunky scarf, or for a really bulky yarn that needs a bit more grab to stay put. Finally, we have the needles that maybe should get rid of. Or at least use more sparingly. These are my straight needles. I know, they're classic and a staple in many knitting kits. But I rarely use them these days. I'm just a circular needle kind of person, through and through. They take up more space, and I find it harder to manage the project. Especially when knitting something big like a blanket. Sometimes I'll pull them out for a flat project, like a scarf. But honestly, I usually end up converting the pattern to circulars. Because that's just what I prefer. No offense to straight needles. But they're just not my personal knitting style. So, there you have it. My ranking of my most used knitting needles. Complete with my honest opinions. Wooden circulars are my absolute favorite. The workhorses I reach for constantly. Metal circulars come in a close second, giving me speed and precision. Bamboo ones are decent and have their uses, and straight needles, well, they're at the bottom of the pile. But I still love them. What about you? What are your favorite needles? And what needles do you struggle with? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and knitting experiences. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more knitting fun, tutorials. And maybe even a few more needle confessions. Happy knitting, everyone!